Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in 2 to 143, coming at you live with episode 130.
We got a doozy for you, a little all-star game preview. You know, it's that time for the MLB, hitting the halfway point of this very, very long season. But we're gonna bring to you some thoughts we have about the All-Star game, about the rosters.
Yeah. Yep, we got our roster preview. And then next week we will have just our – so today's about the All-Star game. Next week will be about just the MLB season. We do our little checkpoint episode, halfway marker. And, there's not a whole lot of good to say, but we'll do it. And we're going to get cracking with the stat of the week brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. Your stat of the week is this. Every MLB team has shut out their opponent, except for one. Nick, do you know what that team is?
The Mets.
Yes, actually, man, you know it. Okay. What a snipe. The Mets have not shut out an opponent this year, which is pretty crazy that the White Sox and the Rockies and all those, and the Rangers, all those garbage teams have shut out their opponents at least once this year, and the Mets have not. That's just sad, which is it's a classic
July,
Mets stat.
Folks. Let's lock in.
Yeah, it's a classic Mets stat right there.
And so with your stat of the week, I'll bring to you your player of the week in light of this all-star roster preview. Definitely your biggest snub of the American League lineup at third base, Josh Smith. I mean, are you kidding me? He's batting .292. He's hit 7 bombs, and he has 34 RBIs. He has the highest WAR among all American League third basemen right now. And this is a decent sample size, because he's been playing since I want to say April. Since April, because Josh Young
he's been playing since
got
the beginning
hurt
of the season.
Way early on, so he's been playing
6 games in.
Just about the entire season. So
yeah,
this is
he should have been in.
Size. Biggest snub of all time, if you ask me.
Yeah, and he deserves to be player of the week, and he deserves to be an all-star. And with that, we'll get into the problem in the all-star game. Okay, I look at the roster, and this episode's a roster preview, but we're not even going to talk much about the roster because you know what? It's ridiculous that the fans are allowed to choose who gets to play in the MLB All Star Game.
To me, I've never understood that because then it kind of turns into a popularity contest.
Yes.
Because you get guys that get voted in because they're kind of
big names.
I don't know. Yeah, they're big names. They've been good for a while. Maybe they're not as good this year, but it's like they've been in the league for a while. They're a big name, and so it's like almost out of respect or something like that you pick them. It's like I don't know.
And the biggest example is this, and this is the problem with the MLB. They're pushing the Shohei Ohtani thing. Look, Shohei obviously should be in the All-Star game. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the All-Star game, but he should not be the starter at designated hitter for the National League team because Marcell Ozuna right now for the Braves currently holds – I'm pretty sure
he's the best designated hitter in baseball.
Yeah, I think he might have a triple crown going right now in the National League. He's the best hitter in baseball, like Nick said, or the best designated hitter. And so by that, those stats and the numbers, baseball's a numbers game. The numbers mean that he's the best one in the National League. He's actually the best designated hitter in all of baseball, like Nick said. So he definitely should be starting for the National League. And that's just the biggest example for me because Shohei Ohtani keeps getting pushed so hard by the league, and he's on the Dodgers now, which is the biggest, one of the biggest brands, not the biggest, but so Marcel's going to start on the bench in the All-Star game, and that just shows kind of a blunder there by the fans.
Another big one in the National League, this isn't about a starter, this was about someone not being an All-Star and someone being a reserve, is Pete Alonso. A lot of people put his numbers right next to Christian Walker of this entire season. And there's not a single stat that Pete Alonso is beating Christian Walker in. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you can go look it up, compare their stats side by side. Christian Walker beats him in every single stat that there is right now. But Pete Alonso gets in because this is a guy that shines this time of the year. It's home run derby time, and that's where he is. He's this guy that's been there, so we let fans vote him in, and that kind of ruined everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing is these big teams like the Yankees, the Astros, the Mets, the Dodgers, they're getting their guys in because they have huge fan bases because they're big brands. So these fans are obviously, there's more of them, they're going to vote them in than small market teams like the Diamondbacks or like the Rangers, because like we talked about, even though we're Rangers fans, Josh Smith is a real all-star snub because he's been nothing but clutch and good all season so far for the Rangers. And it's just because he's not that big name, like everybody's looking for. So it's pretty ridiculous that that he was not included. I mean, Rafael Devers, he's a third baseman that got in on the reserves, and I think Josh Smith has better numbers than him. He just doesn't have the home runs. But like, it's not about home runs to get into the All-Star game. You got to look at
another thing for Josh Smith is his defense has been a lot better this year.
He's been playing third and short.
He's had a great glove this year, along with carrying a better stick than he has been. But, we did get a few Rangers in there. Marcus made it in as a reserve.
Which I don't even know.
What?
Marcus's numbers haven't even been that good. So that's what I'm saying.
That was like just – he's been an Iron Man for baseball.
Yeah. And there's not been very many there's not been very many second basemen in the American League who've been showing out either.
Yeah, that was kind of an up for grabs position. Kirby Yates got in, but that was absolutely
much deserved.
He's been one of the better relievers in the game right now. He's been nails for the Rangers. He comes in and shuts the door like a champion.
Yeah.
He
deserved to get in.
Another big story was Paul Skeens getting in.
Much deserved as well.
Making his All-Star appearance. From the second he stepped foot into the MLB, he has just straight up dominated. Thrown absolute gas.
He's the one bright spot on the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. Actually, there's one other pitcher on the Pittsburgh Pirates who's also pretty good. They're the only bright spots on the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. But anytime Paul Skeens steps into the game, he deals. And one interesting stat about Paul is he's the only guy in MLB history to have 7+ strikeouts in 9 of 10 of his first starts. So he just comes in and he sits guys down. He takes care of business. He's
accrued 78 total strikeouts, 2.12 earned run average. So he's been absolutely disgusting for the Pirates. And that's just that's a cool story there. Just got drafted and now he makes his MLB debut. And then right after that, he's getting elected in to the All-Star game. Well deserved. I'm okay with that pick.
Yeah, there you go, fans.
I was about to say there's one. They got one right.
And for the most part, a lot of guys, obviously deserve to be in there. But it's just like you can see that when you let the fans vote, the bigger baseball markets, who obviously pay more and get the better guys, but the bigger markets are getting their guys in when sometimes it should be a different guy. And a lot of times you can just see that in the reserves. Not as much as in the starters for the All-Star game, but it needs to change to where someone else who knows baseball is voting. You can just let anyone vote.
Gunnar Henderson, Aaron Judge, I thought those were two valid picks. Gunnar Henderson's been one of the better shortstops this year.
Gunnar Henderson's in the MLB, he's in the MVP conversation at the moment.
Yeah, that's a valid conversation or a valid pick right there.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge, that's similar. He's been one of the better hitters in baseball. Yeah.
Currently.
he's got the stats to back it up. So they didn't get every single one wrong, but it was like there were a few that were.
Unfortunately, Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez are at a couple weak positions in the AL right now. There aren't very many good second basemen and good DHs out there at the moment. And if the Rangers had a real DH, maybe we could have given them someone to contend with, but we keep giving people
we're just
DH.
Cycling through.
Yeah.
We don't have an actual DH. It's just, we just.
I'll never believe that a Houston Astros should be in the All Star Game. You can call me biased, but I just don't think that they should be because they're just Astros. And
I'll take Marcus Semien over Jose Altuve any day of the week.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when they met head to head in the playoffs, Marcus Semien was the victor.
I believe so. I believe that was correct.
Rangers play the Astros this weekend in Houston, and Adolis Garcia has been in a major slump, and maybe that's the place to snap him out of it. You never know.
Who knows? Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't about the Rangers, obviously, but we're hoping that the Rangers can turn around. We'll talk about it next week, but
you see all this stuff, and it's
See, I just don't know about
amped up.
I don't know about Juan Soto being a starter. He was good the first half of the season, hasn't been as good the second half of the season. And I could argue Corey Seager as a reserve maybe should have gotten in.
Maybe.
I'm not saying the starter, but there were a lot of good shortstops this year. The AL is pretty packed with good shortstops. So Corey just had such a slow start to the season. It really hurt him in the beginning.
Yeah, and he's been battling injuries, so he's been kind of in and out, here and there with all that stuff. In the National League, Jurickson Profar, that was an interesting one.
I can't stand that guy. I can't stand that guy.
Absolutely valid pick there, but the thing, that's an interesting story because he was a extremely high draft pick for the Rangers, who homered in his first major league at bat, and then absolutely stunk. He was terrible. He was horrible after that. And then I think we dealt him to the A's after that.
Yeah, and then he went to the
Same
Rockies.
Same thing. He stunk.
Yep.
He went to the Padres, and he was decent. And then he went to the Rockies, and the Rockies ended up I want to say they DFA him, maybe.
I think they just sent him back to the Padres.
But it was like, because I thought they did something weird there, because I remember the Padres getting him on a minor league contract for like literally nothing, and then he just started raking, and then they put him in at the beginning of the season, and he's been absolutely disgusting all year. Been one of the better hitters in baseball, and then lo and behold, he's becoming a National League All Star starter. He really hadn't done anything since that postseason run they had a couple years ago when they faced off and lost to the Phillies in 2022, I believe that was. But he's really made a name for himself this year. Been pretty good, so I thought that was a valid pick there.
Congrats to the Padres. They've really rebuilt the organization over the last few years, and they're looking all right this year, and they've got a lot of star power. So they do have like 4 All-Stars, but pretty much all their guys that got into the All-Star game, they pretty much deserved it. The pickup of Luis Arias was a great pickup, and he's a great hitter, and he's in the All-Star game as a reserve, of course, because he's not a Dodger. But I have a huge problem with the fan voting, in case you can't tell. But
it does present an issue because you get a bunch of homers, right? Yeah. You get fans of their team are going to vote their guys in, whether they're
and the big teams have more fans.
Not. Yeah,
the Yankees, the Dodgers, they have more fans than everyone else, so their guys are getting in as starters.
We just need a more, I don't know.
I think
like a third party or something to come in.
Yeah, I think you let maybe half the votes go to the fans, and then half the votes go to like the writers or the sports writers, like the MLB insiders and stuff like that, and you let the guys who know the game pretty well take care.
The thing is just fans are delusional, so they're going to get it wrong, obviously.
Exactly. Or you let the fans do a third of the votes, writers do a third of the votes, players do a third of the votes. Let their peers. That would be interesting. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, it's just the fans. I'm sure the MLB would do. I don't think it'll stay fan voting because it's kind of. Then again, you want your big names in the game for views, but we'll see.
But it should be who's most deserving, right? We just need a third party to come in and just fix it.
They need to let Under Review pick the lineups for the All Star Game.
Absolutely, let me do that. I promise we won't be biased.
Send us a list, and we will circle the ones that need to be in the game. We'll send it right back. Give us like an hour. I mean, it won't even take that long.
That'd be so easy.
We'd be good at it too. I put together a couple of great lineups.
Oh, absolutely.
Josh Smith starting third baseman. Ever. Yeah, Astros don't deserve to be in anything.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, here's we like to end our shows on Under Review. I brought you a quote from the Babe Ruth from The Sandlot. Okay, if you remember that one, he said, "Heroes get remembered, but legends never die."
That's a fact.
That's the truth.
That is the truth. Thank you for tuning in this week. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week for our mid-season review here on Under Review.